I'm sure you've all heard of a fear of failure, but what if I told you there was another side of it? A fear of success. My name is Matt with Elevating Yourself, and the other side of that fear, the fear of success, is what we're going to be exploring today. We're going to be looking at what signs that you might be facing right now that might be putting you in that position, and then we're going to look at how to overcome those fears. It's a different type of fear, and it's not one we probably even think about very much because we typically think of like a failure piece of it and the fear of failure, but there is a true fear of success out there sometimes. So first, let's just talk about this hidden fear. When you're in a position where you might start to see some more success in your life, there may be different things that you start to fear. The first one is being judged by others. This is a very common one. As you start to grow in success, there is this common fear out there that you could be judged by others around you, which is understandable. When you're in a position where you're trying to succeed or you are succeeding, people are going to start to look at you a lot more. And when they start to look at you a lot more, they're going to try to understand what it is that made you successful and then maybe try to tear you down a little bit. There is sometimes a lot of jealousy that is out there when it comes to success. And when that jealousy does exist around you, then there could be the potential where people could lash out. And so it's a natural fear. And next is anxiety with this increased responsibility. As you start to grow, there may be things that are added onto your plate. You might take on employees. You might take on new adventures with whatever it is that you're trying to succeed with, which is going to come with more anxiety. It's a natural response. And then finally, it's just worrying about the comfort or losing stability. You grow, and as you're growing, you're feeling the success with it. But we have to start thinking, what if that goes away, right? It's a natural human response to get into that position. I don't want you to feel that way because if you're on an upward trajectory and you start to feel a different way or you start to doubt things, then the fear of failure could set in, which could adverse the effects that you're feeling right now. And you don't want that to happen. Instead, start to think about what it is that's working well for you and then what you can use to continue on your current trajectory. And it's interesting because a lot of times you don't think about this type of fear because as you're thinking about it, you're looking for your own success and you're not thinking that there is a fear associated with that success or once you reach that point. In many instances, there are people that think that it's just an easy street once you reach a certain stature of money or salary or position, but that's not the case at all. Just because you don't have the same worries doesn't mean that you don't have worries in general. There are always going to be things that get on your mind. It's just different fears, and that's why it's important to get ahead of it and start planning for it. Now, there are some signs that you may be fearing your own success, and it's important to be able to identify these because once you start to face them, you want to get ahead of them as quickly as possible. First is, do you find yourself procrastinating, even about the little things? There could be something that you're supposed to be doing, but you could be thinking, you know what, I'll just put it off maybe another day or I'll do it next week. Those could be potential signs that you might be fearing a little bit of success. You don't want to continue to do certain things because what if that adds on more stress? What if that adds on more success? And again, it starts to snowball constantly. And so that's what you get to be careful of. Even the slightest bit of procrastination could cause some more fear in that success. Next is just putting yourself into a self-sabotaging mentality. This could actually be pretty surprising, but it's a fairly common one. If you find yourself in a position where maybe you're doing things that you wouldn't normally do and you don't really understand why, that could be kind of in that same mentality. It's weird to think about it, but if you find yourself with maybe more wealth or more fame or whatever the case may be, and you start doing things like buying houses, buying materialistic things that maybe you wouldn't normally do, that could also be self-sabotaging. You want to be very, very cautious with you as you start to rise up in your own success. And so don't take knee-jerk responses because they could potentially be self-sabotaging. And finally is overthinking. It's a very common one. You put yourself into a position where maybe it's harder to make decisions because you want to make sure the next decision you make is the right decision. And so you tend to overthink things a little bit more. Remember, the success that you currently have was there for a reason. Trust your instincts, trust the things that you're doing, and don't overthink things too much. And not only that, overthinking can make you look very busy when you're really not actually accomplishing anything. You're planning, and at the end of the day, you don't actually do anything. And so it's important to, yes, plan, but still take the actions that made the success that you had today. And finally, let's talk about how to overcome it. You're going to want to put some good strategies in place in order to make sure that any obstacles that come in your way, you can overcome those obstacles. The first thing is putting yourself into the right mindset. You want to be able to visualize the things that you need to accomplish or the things that you might be doing in the future and what potential obstacles might you face. If I'm going to be doing X, then what is going to happen when that does happen? It's important, and you may not be able to visualize everything, but again, putting yourself into a good place where you can plan as much as possible, it will definitely help you in the end. Next is to make sure you're taking still some small, consistent steps. You may think that as your success rises, that your next steps are only big steps, but that's not the case. If you continue to wait for those big steps, what happens is you start to put yourself down a little bit because it's a lot longer in between those big steps. And so you want to continue to take those small steps, those small incremental steps, because they're going to be able to give you the success continually. They're going to be able to give you those small wins, which is the boost that you need in order to keep going. After that, you want to be able to reframe fear to excitement. It's an important step because those two emotions follow the same suit. I mean, think about excitement and think about fear. What are the things that happen when you're feeling both of those things? Your heart starts to race, you get sweaty palms, your blood pressure maybe start to rise, you are overthinking things a little bit more. It's the same exact thing. And it's important to be able to train your brain into thinking, I'm not afraid of this thing, I'm excited for it. I am not afraid of the next steps. I'm excited that I get to take the new steps. I'm not afraid of what might happen tomorrow. I'm excited about the new challenges that I'm going to bring to that. That is an important piece because you're training your brain into thinking things a little bit differently. And when you do that, you start to put that fear down and the excitement up. And then finally, it's about finding your support system. Again, look for those people that maybe have gone down the same path as you, or maybe that can help you along the way or reframe things a little bit better. It's important that we have these individuals in our lives because they're the ones that are going to get us through some of the harder obstacles. Remember, you don't have to face all of these things by yourself. And so it's important to be looking around you to find out who is there for me and who can give me the advice or the steps that I need to go in order to progress further. Thanks for watching today. Remember, you're seeing success. Don't think about the fear that's associated with it. Don't fear the obstacles that you're going to face down the line. Think about the strategies that you can put into place in order to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. Don't think about the things that you aren't doing. Focus on the things that are working well for you. And in the end, you will continue to see that same success. If you haven't had a chance, please make sure you check out some of my other videos that I've got posted. I'm excited to see that you've been successful. Don't fear it at all. And remember, elevating yourself to the next level starts with a single step. Take that step today. We'll see you next time.